All right, let's jump right in. Today, we are talking about a hidden war. It's a war being fought for your attention, for your perception, for the very story you tell yourself about the world. This is the battle for reality itself. So let me just start with this question. What if the world you experience every day isn't some fixed, solid thing? What if it's more like a story being written right now in real time? And what if there are different authors, all fighting to control the plot, with you as a character in their script? To even begin to understand this, we first have to get a handle on the system we're already living in. The philosopher Gilles Deleuze had a pretty chilling name for it, a society of control. Think of it as a prison, but one with no bars, no guards, no obvious walls. See, the old way of controlling people was pretty straightforward. You put them in a factory, a school, a prison. You can find them. But that's not how it works anymore. Today, control is way more subtle. It's this fluid, free-floating system that manages us through things like data, marketing, and especially debt. It's designed to feel like freedom while it quietly nudges and shapes every single choice we make. And you know what? This whole thing didn't just pop up out of nowhere. It has a long history. You can trace its DNA all the way back to things like the Prussian education model from the 1800s, which was literally created to produce obedient soldiers and workers who wouldn't question authority. It was designed from the ground up to stamp out independent thought. From that rigid factory model, it's just evolved into the sprawling digital network of control we live in today. And that's the real kicker, isn't it? This quote gets to the very heart of the problem. How can you fight back against a prison when you don't even know you're in one? When control is disguised as an opportunity or as entertainment on your social media feed, it becomes almost invisible. And if you can't see it, you can't resist it.
So how does it work? Well, one of its most powerful tricks is hijacking our own motivation. See, we're all born with this natural, intrinsic drive. We're curious, we're passionate, we love to learn just for the sake of it. But the society of control brilliantly replaces that with something else, extrinsic motivators. Grades, money, likes, promotions. It turns everything into a transaction. And what does that do? It crushes creativity and teaches us to just play it safe, to follow the rules to get the reward.
But here's where it gets really interesting. This system of control isn't the only game in town, not by a long shot. In fact, there are two radically different visions for the future that have emerged to challenge it. Two futures that are now on a collision course.
On one side, you have the dream of a perfect, rational utopia. This is the Venus Project. It's the brainchild of a social engineer named Jacques Fresco, and it's this incredibly detailed, top-down plan to completely redesign society to eliminate all our problems using science and technology.
I mean, just listen to the sheer confidence in that statement from 1974. A second Garden of Eden in 10 years. The optimism is just breathtaking. Fresco genuinely believed that if we just applied logic and science to our social problems, we could get rid of scarcity, crime, and war, basically freeing all of humanity to reach its true potential. It's the ultimate engineer's dream.
So what's the plan? Well, it's pretty wild. Forget money, we'd have an economy based on available resources. We'd use science, what he called socio-cyberneering, to design our social systems. We'd automate all the boring jobs. The core idea is that there's no such thing as human nature. You just change the environment and human behavior will change with it. It sounds amazing, right? But you gotta ask yourself, does a perfectly engineered world, designed by a handful of people, just become another, more comfortable prison?
Okay, now take a deep breath. Because on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, we have something else entirely. Something that isn't a neat, clean blueprint. It's a virus, a ghost in the machine, a decentralized, anonymous, and totally chaotic force that crawled out of the darkest corners of the internet. And it's called Zero Work. And this is where it gets really, really disturbing. Zero Work seems to offer total liberation. It talks about wiping out your debt, fighting for justice, all the things we desperately want. But according to some analysts, that's just the fuel. It's the bait. The real project, the end goal, is something much darker. Something that might not have humanity's best interests at heart at all. It's weaponizing our own hope against us. So how do they do it? Their primary weapon is a wild concept called hyperstition. Now, this is more than just telling a story. A hyperstition is a fiction that is designed to go viral. And as more and more people start to believe in it, it actually starts to make itself real. It's not a prophecy. It's reality hacking. It's weaponized fiction. And here's the playbook, basically. Step 1, you create a powerful story, a narrative, and you seed it online. Step 2, you let it spread like a virus through memes, symbols, and anonymity. It becomes a kind of cultural magnet. And then, step 3, as enough people start acting as if the story is true, their collective actions literally start to bend reality to fit the fiction. They speak a new world into existence.
Okay, so let's take a step back. We have the invisible prison of control, the perfect paradise of utopia, and the viral chaos of zero work. 3 completely different visions for reality, right? Well, what if I told you they all run on the exact same software? What if they all have a common source code?
Because here's the big reveal, the true battlefield. It isn't out there in the world, it's not in governments or on the streets. The battle is happening right now, inside your head. All of these systems, whether it's corporate marketing, utopian promises, or reality-bending fictions, they all work by hacking human psychology.
This quote just nails it. When we look at something mysterious and unknown, like zero work, what are we really seeing? Are we seeing it for what it is, or are we just seeing a reflection of our own hopes, our own fears, our own chaos? We project all of that onto it, and in doing so, we give it power. So maybe the real question is zero work even a real, coherent thing? Or is it just the name we've given to the chaos inside ourselves? And if you want to understand the logic these systems exploit, look at this. It's a bit dark, but it's important. This chart shows the core motivations of a psychopathic mindset, a high drive for power and pleasure, and a negative drive for benevolence, actively rejecting kindness. Now, take a hard, honest look at the large-scale systems of control in our society. What kind of behavior gets you to the top? What motivations does the system reward on a massive scale? The parallel is pretty uncomfortable.
See, you can think of our brains as having a kind of operating system, and that system has bugs. Our cognitive biases, our deep emotional needs, our attraction to powerful ancient stories, these are the vulnerabilities. And that's the back door that all of these competing systems, control, utopia, and chaos, are trying to use to get inside and rewrite our code.
So where does this leave us? It feels like we're caught in the crossfire of this massive war for our own minds, a battle for the very definition of what is real. What are we supposed to do with that?
You know, maybe the biggest, most successful hyperstition of all is the story our society of control tells us about ourselves. It's the lie that humans are fundamentally selfish and lazy, that we'll only do things if there's a reward at the end. That lie is what justifies the entire system of control. But the science, the research, it all shows that's just not true. Our real nature is to be curious, to collaborate, to create.
And this is the final, crucial takeaway. This battle isn't something happening to us. We are not just pawns on the chessboard. Our consciousness, what we believe, what we desire, the stories we accept as true, that is the chessboard itself. We are the territory that this war is being fought over.
So I'll leave you with this one question to think about. In this storm of competing stories, with the society of control whispering in one ear, the utopians promising paradise in the other, and the forces of chaos trying to burn it all down, you have to ask yourself, who's holding the pen for your story?